0-721FH. This is the time set for a plea. Mr. Hankinson, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Hankinson, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Silverthorne, and Mr. Silverthorne has previously informed me that this will be a plea to count one on each of these three files. Is that correct, Mr. Silverthorne?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And will you waive reading of the balance of the charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Eisenhut, would you read then the count ones on the three files?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. In file number 20-0561FC, People of the State of Michigan versus James Arthur Hankinson. In the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about January 1st of 2016 through July 1st of 2019 at 319 Highwood Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did, in count one, being 17 years of age or older, engage in sexual penetration, to wit, and Your Honor, this will be an amendment to fellatio, with a child under 13 years of age, contrary to Michigan law. This is a Tier 3 offense under the Sex Offender Registration Act. Take notice that pursuant to Michigan law, upon bind over to the circuit court or quarters court, the district court shall order the defendant to be tested for sexually transmitted infection, hepatitis B infection, and for the presence of HIV or an antibody to HIV if the judge determines there is reason to believe the violation involves to a bodily fluid of the defendant. If the district court judge determines that testing is not required upon conviction, the court must order the defendant to be tested. This is a felony punishable by life for any term of years, mandatory minimum of 25 years, lifetime electronic monitoring, mandatory AIDS STD testing, DNA to be taken upon arrest. The court may impose a consecutive sentence under Michigan law. This done against the peace court shall order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest, and this done against the peace and dignity of the State of Michigan. In file number 20-0719FH, People of the State of Michigan versus James Arthur Hankinson, the prosecuting, State of Michigan, County of Ingham, in the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about March 1st of 2019 through July 18th of 2019 at 319 Highwood, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did, in count one, being 17 years of age or older, engage in sexual contact with a person under 13 years of age, contrary to Michigan law. This is a Tier 3 offense under the Sex Offender Registration Act. Take notice that pursuant to Michigan law, upon bind over to the circuit court or recorder's court, the district court shall order the defendant to be tested for sexually transmitted infection, hepatitis B infection, and for the presence of HIV or an antibody to HIV if the judge determines there is reason to believe the violation involves. If the district judge determines that testing is not required upon conviction, the court must order the defendant to be tested. This is a felony punishable up to 15 years and lifetime electronic monitoring upon parole from prison, mandatory AIDS STD testing, DNA to be taken upon arrest. Court shall order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest, and this done against the peace and dignity of the State of Michigan. And in file number 20-0721FC, the people of the State of Michigan versus James Arthur Hankinson, State of Michigan, County of Ingham. In the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on June 1st, 2019 through July 31st, 2019 at 319 Highwood, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did, in count one, being 17 years of age or older, engage in
Mr. Hankinson, you're being charged here in the first of these three files with first-degree criminal sexual conduct. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years on the maximum, and it is required to have a 25-year mandatory minimum sentence. You will also be subject to the Sex Offender Registration Act requirements and lifetime electronic monitoring. And if you were on parole at the time of the offense, the sentence would be mandatory consecutive to parole. In the next file, you're being charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct. That is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison. It will also subject you to the requirements of the Michigan Sex Offender Registration Act and lifetime electronic monitoring. And if you were on parole at the time of the offense, it would require a consecutive sentence to the parole sentence. In the third file, you're being charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years on the maximum end. On the minimum end, it is also subject to a mandatory 25-year minimum sentence. You would also be subject to the Michigan Sex Offender Registration requirements and lifetime electronic monitoring. Have you had enough time to talk about these charges with your attorney?
Yeah.
Do you understand the charges against you, Mr. Hankinson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just about how?
I didn't hear you, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Do you have any questions about what we're doing today?
Basically, I'm pleading, right? And then sentencing will be later.
That's what I'm told, that you're pleading today, and yes, your sentencing will be sometime in August, I believe.
Okay.
Any other questions about what we're doing?
Other than that, no, not at this point.
Okay, and how do you want to plead?
I'll plead guilty, Your Honor.
If your plea of guilty is accepted by this court, it means you won't have a trial of any kind, and you'll be giving up the rights that go along with a trial. I'm going to go through those trial rights with you. You would have the right to a trial by jury, or if you didn't want trial by jury, trial by judge. You'll be giving up the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and to require the prosecutor to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll give up your right to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial and to be able to cross-examine them, as well as the right to have this court order any witnesses that you might have to appear at the trial. You'll give up your right to remain silent at the trial and not to have your silence used against you, or in the alternative, to testify yourself if you wanted to. You also need to know that there's a couple of things about appeals that are different when you plead guilty.
Unsuccessful plea and sentence to count 1 on file numbers 20-0561FC, 20-0719FH, and 20-0721FC. The people would agree to dismiss the balance of the charge counts on all files, as well as the habitual offender notice on file number 719FH, and as well as file number 20-042FC in its entirety. Pursuant to People v. Killebrew, the parties agree that the defendant's minimum sentence shall be fixed at 300 months, or 25 years, in the Michigan Department of Corrections. The parties further agree that each sentence will run concurrently to the other sentences.
But the Killebrew obviously can only apply to docket 561 and 721.
Yes.
Is there any sentence agreement? Not that it would make a difference, but is there any sentence agreement on 719?
No, Your Honor. The only agreement would be the sentence to run concurrently.
With 719 being the lesser offense, a 15-year felony, that the sentence would be eaten up by the other two anyway.
Yes.
Is that a full and complete statement, Mr. Silverthorne?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Mr. Hankinson, is all of that your understanding of the agreement as well?
Yes, it is.
Do you
Your
agree
Honor.
with it? Yes, do you
Yes,
agree with it? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, okay, so I told you before that 2 of these charges have a mandatory 25-year minimum sentence. So there is an agreement here that would basically be your minimum sentence would be 25 years. You understand that, right?
Yes.
And of course, that applies to the 2 first-degree criminal sexual conducts, and because they all run at the same time, the 15-year felony it just wouldn't make any difference. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if for some reason I said, no, I think you should have more than 25 years, in that unlikely event, I would tell you before I sentenced you, and I would give you a chance to take back this plea and start all over. You got that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything else that hasn't been said here right now in order to get you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone used any threats to get you to do this?
No, Your Honor.
Is this your own choice to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you doing it because you believe you are in fact guilty of these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then I'm going to start with the file number that is 561, and I think this is the one that pertains to the child with the initials HB. So tell me what you did, and this is regarding count 1, on or about the time frame of January 1, 2016 to July 1, 2019 regarding HB. Did you have some kind of sexual contact with her?
Yes, I did.
All right.
It was,
And tell me what that was.
it was attempting a blowjob.
I'm sorry?
It was a BJ attempting a blowjob.
Oh, okay. So you're saying what would in the common slang be called a blowjob?
Yes.
Okay. So what part of your body was involved?
My penis.
All right. Where did it go?
In the mouth.
And that was HB's mouth?
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
how old was HB at the time?
I'm not exactly sure at the age.
Yes. Was she under 13 years of age?
She was under 13
And how old were you at the time?
or 17.
You were
Was over
over 17. Yeah, because you're like in your late 30s now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And did this happen at 319 Highwood Avenue in Lansing, Ingham County?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go to the next file, and this involves HB's sister, I believe. IB are the initials. And tell me what you did in the time frame of March 1, 2019 to July 18, 2019 involving IB.
I watched the video, and in the process of watching the video, I tapped her on the butt, pretty much.
Okay, you said you tapped her on the butt?
Yeah, like a spanking.
All right, but was it like a spanking or was it more like something else?
It was kind of a little more than something else.
All right, tell me what it was.
It was like putting my hand on her butt. That's about pretty much it. So,
Was it in a sexual way?
yes, it can be considered sexual.
Was it sexual to you?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know how old IB was at the time?
Under 13.
Okay, and how old were you?
Over 17.
All right. And did that also happen on at the Highwood address in Lansing, Ingham County?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Then the last file is docket number 721, and this involves an individual with the initials NK. Tell me what happened with NK in the time frame of June 1, 2019 to July 31, 2019.
It was attempting penetration.
All right, tell me more about that. When you say attempting penetration, what part of your body was used?
My penis.
Your penis, where did it go?
Like I said, it was attempting, and it tried to go in her private parts.
Okay, in her vaginal area?
That area, yeah.
All right, when you say attempting, do you mean you tried to get it in, but you couldn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you at least break the surface of her outer skin in her genital area?
I don't believe I did, Your Honor. Like I said, it was attempting.
Okay, but maybe I used the wrong, misleading terms when I say break the skin. Did it at least go to the point of getting it to her genital opening?
It was close, yes.
If I say vaginal lips, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Did it go past the biggest set of vaginal lips?
I'm honestly not sure on how it penetrated, but I mean, it was close, so.
All right. You were touching her genital opening at least,
Yes.
correct?
So
And you were trying to get your penis into her vagina, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And were you pressing to get it in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so it wasn't just like a brushing touch or a glance, it was a pressure applied to attempt to get your penis in her vagina.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I think I can presume from that, the finer points of the female anatomy would indicate that that would be beyond the vaginal, the labia, which is legally required. And how old was NK at the time?
Under 13,
And how old were you?
over 17.
All right, and was that at the same Highwood address, sir?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Okay, has the court complied with MCR 6.302, Ms. Eisenhut?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silverthorne?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
Are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements other than those already placed on the record, Ms. Eisenhut?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Silverthorne?
No, Your Honor.
The court finds the plea is understandingly and voluntarily made without undue influence, threats, or promises of leniency. It is an accurate plea. It's supported by the testimony. The plea is accepted, and sentencing is set for Monday, if that works for everybody.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hankinson, are you okay with us doing the sentencing the same way we did the plea with calling in from the jail?
Yeah.